welcome Minister Simon Coveney, and Deputy Donnchadh Laoghaire is leading for Sinn Féin today.
Minister, yesterday the Cabinet met at Páirc Uí Chaoimh in Cork to unveil the National Development Plan to great fanfare. While the Government might have sought to distract the public with a dazzling performance in that hallowed stadium, the reality was that the plan lacked any real substance. Another glossy brochure filled with projects running years late, projects that are running massively over costs, projects that have been announced and re-announced for decades. Whether they're roads, public transport or housing, a lot of promises never delivered. When people read the NDP, they quickly see that definitely has become maybe or not at all. One of these maybes is the Cork to Limerick motorway. Comments from various Green Party TDs and indeed Minister Ryan have already cast serious doubt over whether this project will ever happen. The wording in the NDP begs the question, are the Government in fact committed to a motorway between Cork and Limerick? In my view, the only sensible people who don't agree with a motorway between Cork and Limerick are people who have never been near the current road. It is unsafe, it is dangerous, and it certainly won't drive economic growth in its current state. Almost half of it is a single lane with no hard shoulder. The main link between the second and third cities in the state is in parts no better than a boreen, and I'm sure you know that yourself, Minister. Then I looked at the Metro plan for Cork. Minister, we know that to attract investment into the region, it's essential that we transform our public transport system. But that also seems to be a maybe now, and potentially to the same fate as the Dublin Metro, another perpetual promise off in the distance. Minister, you yourself have repeatedly stated that ensuring that Cork and Limerick and the region around it would have the potential to grow and thrive and become a proper balance to Dublin, and that this is high on your agenda. It would be from me as well. I think that there is unity in the region, that there is huge potential there for growth. This is about balanced regional development. But you can't do that. You simply cannot do that without modern quality links between the other southern cities, without a decent road between Cork and Limerick, without a road that is completely unsafe. You can't do that without proper public transport either. And you can't do it without a national development plan that's sharply focused on delivery. We need a government that's going to be ambitious, a government that will modernise now and enhance the connectivity between regional cities in a sustainable way. So, Minister, we've had a few false dawns on the motorway between Limerick and Cork. Tá mise agus forward the daine gorcaig agus Limerick agus an réigiún I bhábhar an mótar bhealach seo. A caithfear rá bhfuil áras ann anois. Minister, I'm asking you not to squander this, as successive governments have. Not to squander another opportunity to get this done. The wording in the NDP raises very serious questions about whether the Government is committed to a motorway, Minister. I don't think it is unrealistic for people to expect that such cities would be connected by a quality motorway road. I hope you agree, Minister, that the days of short-term fixes and vague aspirations are gone. What we need is to move beyond promises and into specifics. So, Minister, over to you. What I am looking for here is a commitment. What I am looking for here is reassurance. Is this Government going to build a motorway between Cork and Limerick? What is the timescale? Will we get funding commitments? Are you going to build a motorway, Minister?
Thank you, Deputy. Minister.
Thank you, Deputy. The first thing I want to say is that the Government launched the most ambitious capital investment programme in the history of the state. They committed €165 billion of investment over the next 10 years. This is a plan to deliver a sustainable development plan for the country, not just big cities, but rural Ireland as well. This is a plan that is sustainable, that focuses on the challenges of climate change as a priority, perhaps for the first time. This is a plan that is consistent with the National Planning Framework, which others in this House, Deputy Kelly in particular, would have been involved in designing during his time in government, and remains loyal to that. And so what this plan does is it provides funding certainty and policy certainty for the decade ahead, which is exactly what a national development plan is about. Individual projects are, of course, named. The city that you and I come from has been prioritised in this plan as one of the places where we can create a counterbalance to Dublin. As you know, the plan in Ireland 2040 is to facilitate 50% population growth in all of the cities outside of Dublin in order to create proper urban centres of scale to create real counterbalance to an overcrowded capital city here in Dublin, while also investing heavily here to deal with, in particular, public transport deficits in and around the capital. So the plan yesterday is a continuation of the previous National Development Plan. It does commit to projects. The one project that you refer to, the M20, is a project that you've heard me speak about many times. I'm absolutely committed to delivering a quality motorway between Cork and Dublin. I think that Ireland's second and third city need to be linked with a proper road corridor, but also we need to look at other alternatives in terms of a rail system that's fit for purpose that will take people off roads. But if we are to create the kind of counterbalance to the East Coast and Dublin, which is overcrowded and needs counterbalance elsewhere in the country, well then linking Cork and Limerick strategically, which is part of what the National Planning Framework talks about, makes a lot of sense. The truth is, though, that this is an enormous project. It is going to take time to plan. It'll need to go through the various permitting systems, which is what is currently happening, and will need to go through the necessary public consultation. So while we currently see the Donnchadh interchange, the M22, progress in terms of the M28, and many other projects in and around Cork City either happening in planning or taking shape, this is a huge project linking Ireland's second and third city and will take time. And I think the government has been honest about that in the plans that they announced yesterday.
Thank you. Deputy.
Minister, there's an element with this particular project here, and it is one of the most crucial pieces of infrastructure in the state. Like you say, I don't think you could find another developed European country that you could say that there isn't a motorway between the second and third cities. I don't believe you could. It is a crucial piece of infrastructure, and it is about the region as a whole offering a counterbalance, as you've identified yourself, the very clear need for that, the very clear objective for that. There's an element of government speaking out of both sides of its mouth here. I'm listening to TDs and ministers in your government who've made comments in the last 24 hours that this project could be in doubt. Last year it was Ossian Smith. Yesterday, Brian Ledden, that it was still to be decided, that's certainly open to question. Minister Ryan saying that these projects aren't definitely no, but that they mightn't be completed. It seems to me that the Green Party don't want the M20. A failure to commit to a Cork-Limerick motorway is not good enough. I'm sure you'll agree. We've had too many false dawns when it comes to this project. You're a senior minister in this government, you're Cork TD. Ceann Comhairle, many times at leaders' questions are asked that are vague and aimless and go around the houses. Mine was a very straight question. Is your government going to build a motorway between Cork and Limerick?
Thank you, Deputy.
Is your government going to build it?
Deputy, you know well that there is a strong commitment in this government to build a motorway between Cork and Limerick. That has been confirmed by the Taoiseach many times, the Donnchadh many times, and myself and others many times. But any piece of infrastructure of that scale has got to go through a planning process, a permitting process, an environmental impact assessment, and all of the other things that need to happen. Route selection hasn't even been finalised yet. So yes, we are committed to delivering on the much needed improved road infrastructure between Cork and Limerick. I've said yes on many occasions, Donnchadh, in relation to this project, but I don't control a planning process, and I shouldn't. And I don't control public consultation processes or the other permitting that's necessary before an investment of this scale can take effect. But you know well the commitment that has been given to this project. It is, in my view, an essential part of Cork's and Limerick's expansion and growth and economic prosperity into the future, as well as focusing on people's quality of life.
Thank you, Minister.
But I think you will see additional commitments being made by government in terms of sustainable transport systems, also linking
Thank you, Minister.
the second and third city along with motorway infrastructure.
Deputy Allen.